Welcome back.
Thanks.
Yep.
Neato.
What's up, Mrs. Ryan?
Hello, hello, sir.
Somebody else set up the studio today. We have a new Chad who's also named Chad, but tried a few different things with the desk here, and then I realized, who am I starting this show like? Just, doesn't matter. Hello, hello, Mrs. Ryan. Welcome back. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, April 16th, 2019. My name is Jay Ryan. This is Nicole Ryan. We are the Ryans. This is It's Tonight's show. Our guest this evening is Randy Lubas, and we are going to find out all about not only his comedy history, but what he's up to now. I didn't know he had a comedy festival. The comedy club owner thing was new to me, so we're going to get him in here in a few minutes and talk all about that.
Yeah.
Mrs. Ryan and I will geek out on comedy today.
Yay.
How you doing? Welcome back.
Welcome back. I'm fine.
Yeah.
My energy's super low, but I'm trying to keep
You're
it
not showing that.
positive.
Yeah.
So if I'm like low key, it's not because I'm like low energy sad. It's like I'm keeping it there on purpose.
How, well, we didn't do a show yesterday. How does the extra day on the weekend, how does that help you? Is it beneficial to you?
Yes and no. It helps my body when I force myself and you force me to like relax and like
To stop.
to
slow down.
stop. And like in my head it goes to like, I'm not doing anything. It's like, no, okay, I can do writing research by watching TV and letting it noodle up there. It qualifies. It's the part of the neuroplasticity that I need to work on anyway, so it's fine.
Learning new things or doing things differently in general? Is that what you mean? That's the part you need to work on?
I need to teach my body and train it how to work in a calm way. So that's part of it, and like letting it ideate in a natural way instead of like forcing an idea. It's like
right. No,
work.
that does that.
So as a
ask any writer, that does not work.
No, so that's that. But keeping a habitual nature of like walking and moving and doing stuff, that helps me too.
You've never had much of a modulator?
Correct.
With much. You're kind of an on-off, black, white, really, severe or off. So I understand this being a struggle for you. If there's anything I can do to help or anything anybody can do, I mean, it's kind of a neat thing. I think once you harness it, I'm trying to think of it. It's like a motor that's got tons of horsepower and no torque.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can go full bore, you can drive on the racetrack and everything, but you can't tow a boat or carry this box to the grocery store or whatever.
Nope. I was not a good driver, so I like to use that analogy.
Yeah. Right. Ronnie Revit, on or off, on or off.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're a champ.
Thanks.
You do. Everybody else does too.
Thank you.
All right, on to things.
Yeah.
I don't have that much. Notre Dame, man, that sucks.
Oh.
Anything else from like the current?
No.
Any emergency? I do want to send some love to our Porsche family over there at Rhodes Scholars and the Ingram Collection. Charles Stanley, Cam Ingram, obviously Bob Ingram. Everybody knows what happened. There was the explosion down there and in the town next door, and then blew the whole thing and the whole blah blah blah. They're posting photos now. The whole community is pulling together. There's pictures of the firefighters pushing out the cars from the garage and the whole bit. We just want to let everybody know, or let you guys know that everybody loves you. You're getting support from everywhere, I'm sure, but especially out here, our neighborhood to yours. We love you. We see the pictures. We're feeling it too. And gosh, if there's anything we can do, please, please, please reach out, even if it's just to yammer on the phone or send a text where you need a smile back or something. We love you. All right, Mrs. Ryan, time to watch some East Coast feed, if that's okay.
Okay.
Real quick.
See
Two of these tonight. Yeah, I believe we're in Hartford, I think, Connecticut. Let's check it.
Louise.
I think so. Let me check it. Roll it out.
Taking a selfie. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Ryan, Casman, Brooke and the Casman, East Coast Feed, coming to you from Waterbury, Connecticut at the Book of Mormon. Yeah, and people think we're taking a selfie, but we're not. We're here.
They probably can't hear us at all.
They can hear us. I'm talking loud enough, Mr. Ryan. White Castle was just because it was really ghetto. This is really not ghetto. Well, it's Waterbury, so it's not that bad. Anyway, we were at Stomp the other night in New Haven. Did you like it?
Yeah.
She loved it. friend of ours, Liam, is the lead elder Price in this play, right there, Book of Mormon. So we came to support him and see him, and that's all she wrote. We'll leave you guys some random love from Waterbury, Connecticut, Palace Theater, the historic Palace Theater. Say goodnight, Brooke. Love you guys.
Well, that's nice.
That was sweet.
Yeah, I was wrong. Waterbury, Connecticut.
Oh.
Not in Hartford, Waterbury. Book of Mormon, I don't know how many times he's seen it. Did he say in that thing? He's seen it so many times.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So many.
But he said he knows the lead of this one, so they know the traveling lead. That's kind of cool.
That is
cool.
cool.
Because he's acting in voiceover. He's doing all that stuff now.
That's super neat.
Working at BMW. So he's getting into the mix, and I
Good
love
work, buddy.
seeing it. Yeah, absolutely. All right, I believe this is after the show. I'm guessing same place.
Oh.
Let's check in. Roll it, Hal.
Mr. and Mrs. Ryan, East Coast Feed with Brooke, Liam, and the Casman. We're here on the set of Book of Mormon. Actually, the stage, not a set, right?
Well, close, yeah.
It's close enough. Anyway, he just killed it. He's the lead tonight. Yo, hat is hysterical. Brooke, what'd you think?
It was awesome.
It was fucking great. It was my 7th time, still fucking awesome. Just want to send some random love here from, where are we? Waterbury, Connecticut. Love you guys.
Did anyone else notice that guy's shirt? Matched our set.
Yeah.
Life magazine over here, wherever it is for the camera. Good grief.
That was pretty rad.
That's good for him, though. You see my point. Like, look at them. They're up on stage afterwards
Yeah.
and the whole bit. I bet they love it.
Getting out and about, man.
It makes me so happy. What people don't know about that guy is he has been a performer his whole life without ever being a performer legitimately or professionally. He just is that guy with that personality. The fact that he's applying it to something and I think going to be good at it. I know he would be good at it. I think he's going to be successful at it.
Yeah.
Now that he's doing it. I'm just so proud of you, buddy. Please keep it up. And whatever. We love you.
Love you lots, man.
Sounded, you know what I mean? But we do. We love you. All right, Mrs. Ryan, it's time to ask the question that is on everyone's mind.
Dun-dun.
If you don't have anything else.
No.
What's going on, Mrs. Ryan?
Oh, man. Tel Aviv is leading the charge on 3D printed.
3D, ladies and gentlemen.
I heard it. Damn.
It sounded like you were doing a John Mulaney impression. And 3D right over here.
I'm such a fan of it. I wish I was doing an impression. Now I won't be able to do it.
All right, go ahead.
Tel Aviv is leading the way of 3D printed human pieces.
Oh, shit, the heart?
They made a heart. It's small. It's like a precursor to real stuff. But in the vein of things are happening, like I don't go back in time. But this does take transplants off the.
This one's crazy to me. This one's straight up multiplicity.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, the gist of it is they did make a heart, and it's made of human tissue, but it was printed somehow. It's 3D printed. I mean, I don't understand the technology behind it, but it's biotechnology, obviously. Fascinating beyond, but we're here. It's
happening.
Yeah, I don't know where you go from here, and that's why when everyone's like, "Well, we're in the last 30 seconds of the long clock, the world's about to end," I'm kind of like, "Well, I can't see anything else. I mean, I don't know where else it would go."
Maybe.
We got to all start thinking about some good, positive future. Tomorrowland, we have to watch Tomorrowland and, focus on some kind of awesome future for us all to have.
Visualize and manifest positivity. I think that's the way to go.
Indeed.
Okay, there was a lot of articles about vitamin D for some reason this week. And I wanted to clarify, sorry, a couple things. A lot of the research that I'm reading, it reads very superficially, as if people already know stuff. And I'm guessing that people don't, because some things don't make sense to me that should make sense. Like, I'm at the reading level and appropriate education level that, like, things should make sense, how they're written. But they don't. So, vitamin D, a lot of sources say that we get it from the sun. We don't.
Oh, really?
We don't. Our bodies make it in response to being around the sun.
Okay. I would agree. I mean, I would say that's most things then. Most things are stimulation, and then the result is the body makes whatever.
Yes, but it changed it for me to, like, I can't go outside and collect something from the sun. Like, I have to actively sit there and be like, all right, this is how you make.
Oh, I see.
Stuff.
You're activating yourself instead of being passive about it. I like that.
Correct. And so the thing with it's a big deal for the immune system, which is why I've really thought about it a lot.
Because of look at you.
How immunity works, simply, is that it takes two different kinds of cells to kickstart the immune process. And what vitamin D does is simply makes it not as easy for them to connect and make faulty assumptions about things and cause problems that don't exist and don't need to
I know
be made.
people like this.
I'm one of those people.
No, but I would say no.
People
Just keep
do
going.
make problems, but this to me sounded exactly like that. It creates false triggers when they're not satiated. So that's what sunlight does. And that's what vitamin D does. And if you can understand the difference of like, you don't go outside and get it. And that's why tanning is horrible. Like going out at noon, like that doesn't do the same thing. So like integrating it into your world and being in sunlight helps your body make stuff. A girl in Kentucky to spread positive vibes everywhere. She turned her birthday and her celebration into like, she asked some kid, like, what are you doing for your birthday? The kid was like, we don't have money for birthdays and stuff. So she turned her whole awareness and like being for like, instead of wanting gifts, she was like, I want to make something so that people can celebrate birthdays. I don't want anyone to have that answer of like, my family can't afford to do something. So she literally puts together birthday boxes and she provides them to like a family center through her school. But it's like cake mix and stuff to make cakes and cakes and frosting.
Birthday
and
party
like
in a box kind of thing.
balloons. Yeah.
Oh.
So it was a really neat heads up of like, you can always think outside the box. There's always stuff to do to make someone's day. And like,
That's very sweet.
it was awesome. So I wanted to
What's
pass
that person's name?
I don't remember. Everyone can Google it.
Okay.
I'll look it up. I'm trying to be
You're doing
I
great.
should do it. And then lastly, Airbnbs all over the place are expanding from just being another hotel system. They're allowing animals and they're encouraging people to like feed their llamas and like here we have pigs on our farm and like so you can seek out places. They're all over the country. There's one in California, there's one in upstate New York, they're in Canada.
They're opening up to more like it's not just a place to stay for the night. It's an experience for the duration of your stay.
It's an
Like
experience.
perhaps it's on a farm
Yeah.
where you have to feed llamas, etc., instead of just in an apartment or whatever.
Yeah. There's lots of options, and a lot of them are putting money towards a lot of these like animal charities.
I've always
and
wanted to run a car
sanctuaries.
wash, and I can do that if I pay $60 a night and go over here, whatever it might be.
Yeah. There's different ways to it. I think it's super neat that you can stay somewhere for a night and feed a llama.
Yeah, you're right. If that's what you're into, for sure, Airbnb is the place to get it. Wow.
You never know.
And that's been what's going
going
on,
on?
Mrs.
That's what's going on.
Well, that's that. That's been that. Oh my goodness. I know you love that part. All right, Mrs. Ryan, let us take a quick break, get our guest in here, Randy Lubas. It's going to be a comedy talk today. Comedy talk Tuesday.
Yeah.
I think we're going to start doing that too, just so you know. It's like I think the comedy stuff's going to be
Tuesday.
on Tuesdays, the car stuff will be on Thursday.
Okay.
I think try to get it into a structure.
Cool.
All right, Randy Lubas will be in that chair when we get back, and my tongue will be out of my mouth, hopefully in better shape. Be right back right after this. Sixth time he's going to correct me. Actually.
Actually.
All right. Well, welcome back. We are sitting here with Randy Lubas. Randy, thank you for being here today. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to be with you.
I appreciate you coming on to the show. I appreciate what you've chosen as a career, and I would love to hear. I'd love to hear how it started and how the heck you got up to today. Quite frankly, I told you a little bit before the show that it's sort of something that I always wished I did and never followed until recently. And you've got a life in comedy. So, what the heck started you in comedy? And maybe we'll just kind of pick around from there.
You know, I started thinking about this not that long ago, but remembering the first time I ever got laughs. And it was in high school. I did the voices for a puppet show. The art teacher had all these kids make puppets, and they wrote a little script for this puppet show. And they asked me to do the voices of a couple of these puppets. And the whole school listened to this puppet show, and I was doing this silly voice, and people were laughing hysterically at it. It was like the first... it only made me think of this not that long ago, that was really the first time that I saw a large group of people laugh at me, and I wasn't even on stage.
Wow.
But it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was too.
Yeah, I was doing this sneezing pig, and every time the pig would sneeze, everybody would giggle and laugh. And this was high school, but and I was in theater and doing things like that too. But that was the first time that something clicked, for me that got me interested. And I always could do funny voices and imitate people, and so that was kind of how I got through, doing that at parties in college, and I was always the life of the party, doing
can get out of any situation, right? Because you're able to,
exactly. And so, and then in college, I started hearing about stand-up comedy, and
where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. And by my senior
I'm just saying, it's not the home of comedy.
No. There was not a lot of comedy there at that time growing up. In fact, I'd never even seen a comedian live until I was out of college. But I did enter a talent contest in college that I won, just doing voice impressions. And
was that a good thing or a bad thing?
It was good.
To win,
it was good.
To win the first time out of the gate?
Well, it was good. It was pretty exciting. Second place was somebody cutting hair. So.
And there's the curve. I gotcha.
So, yeah.
Was it their own hair?
So, so that got me started. But I remember there was a guy that had been doing sketch comedy at college who started telling me that in New York and in Los Angeles there were comedy clubs, were these places where you could get up on stage and go on, and then he told me about places that would let you go on stage. After I graduated from college, he pointed me in the direction to play, and one of the very first places I went was called Sunny Day's Stage Door. It was a strip club in Pittsburgh, and it was.
Sunny Days was a
Sunny
name.
Day,
it was someone's name. It was
yeah,
apostrophe.
Sunny Day
claimed
he was one of Bill Haley's comets. Bill Haley and the Comets.
It's not
Sunny
true,
Day.
though.
Well, when I look up,
because of the
when
name. Yeah, sure,
when I Google Bill Haley and the Comics and the band, I never see Sunny Day listed. But this guy's name was Sunny Day at a strip club, and he played saxophone or some instrument.
Of course he did. That's why he opened the club so he could play.
Yeah, of course. So I went. He said, you could. He was really nice. I went in. He said, you can go up in between the strippers. And I had nothing to compare this to. I had no idea if that was going to be easy, hard, or whatever.
Well, you're probably
All I
happy
knew,
still to be able
delighted.
to perform. Yeah,
I couldn't have been happier. And by the way, this was not good-looking strippers. These were, these.
Oh, Sonny.
You we're talking about bullet wounds and stretch marks and a lot of not the most attractive women of the dance that you ever saw.
The runts of the Pittsburgh litter. I got you.
And it wasn't very well attended either.
So your audience isn't.
Yeah. So, but the good news is that I did okay. I mean, I like I said, I had nothing to compare it to. I was just I could kind of imitate voices, and people would clap at the end, and I had a couple little things I would do, and I just loved it.
You're still making the connections, right? Even if it's two guys and
absolutely.
The thing, right?
I just there was something so exhilarating and addictive about it that I couldn't wait for them to find another place to go.
How old were you at that point? You said
I was 21.
Gosh. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Man. So you're young, you're loving it, and you just got a taste for it, and it tastes good. So.
Yeah, and then very soon after that, this same guy who was also had branched out of sketch comedy to become a stand-up comic, said that there was a place near the University of Pittsburgh, which is part of Pittsburgh called Oakland, where there was a little place called the Portfolio. And it was an artsy little area, and this guy decided he was going to put a comedy open mic every Tuesday night.
Okay.
And I went for the first one, and I remember that night Dennis Miller came in. He's from Pittsburgh. And Dennis had been living in New York for about a year, I think.
Was this for SNL, babe, or was this before SNL?
At that time, long before. We're
I
talking,
see.
this was 1979.
Oh, wow, okay.
1979. So at that time, Dennis was a prop comic and frenetic. He was a prop comic, frenetic, ran around the stage like Robin Williams, that kind of energy.
Picture him with that energy.
And he had been doing it for about a year. And we all were going to go up on this night, and I remember Dennis went up and did about a half hour, and it just blew me away because it was brilliant. It was really smart and clever and high energy, and I went up that night and I killed doing 15 minutes. It was magic. It was absolute magic, and that was I would mark that day as the day that my whole life changed when I saw what that potential was that could be, and it was funny because I always did well from the very beginning because I could imitate the voices, and even though the material was sophomoric and dirty, it was I could pull it off and they'd clap at the end. And,
if the impression's good enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, Rich Little wasn't the funniest guy in the world.
But he got a lot of credit because he could make his face look like the person, and you get the thing. So, yeah, it was just utter addiction, and so every Tuesday for 2 years, I went into the Portfolio, and by after 6 months or so, Dennis Miller moved back to Pittsburgh, and
to rethink his act. That was already. You said it was quite good.
It was very good, but it was nothing like what it eventually became, and so by then there was a core of about 8 of us aspiring comedians that were going loyally every Tuesday, and they were all from different parts of Pittsburgh. So each one of us would find a bar or a club where we grew up that was willing to do a comedy night. So we were escalating the opportunity to perform, and we were getting a lot of those to happen on the weekends. And so the more you did it, the better you got. And then I think maybe it was about a year in, this Comedy and Magic Club opened up in this little area called Mount Oliver. And in order to work there, you had to have 2 different 20-minute sets. So nobody thought that's hard. We just said, okay, I got 20 minutes. I want that gig. And so within the first 2 years of doing stand-up, I had 40 minutes of material, and because I wanted that gig, and that's what we all did. We had nothing to compare to what people are doing now. And I've had this conversation recently with the quality of people going to open mic now compared to when I started, and what you couldn't even call open mic, because we booked the shows and arranged enough excitement about it that people paid money to go see the shows wherever these were.
And over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was it was a big difference, but we found these other little venues that we could work, and the Comedy Magic place would let you come in every few months and do your, you would be a magician and a comedian on each show with 2 seatings. So you had to do 2 different sets. And so just kept at it, and then in 1981 they opened the first comedy club in Pittsburgh. Well, right before that, I was working for Sears. I got out of college and was working as in the new Sears and Roebuck Sears? Management trainee for Sears. And I was the happiest management trainee Sears ever had, and nobody could understand why I was so happy at work. And it was because I knew I was going to quit. When you know you're going to quit a job, there's I'm out of here, suckers. Yeah, exactly. So I was always joking and having fun at work, and everybody was like, "Why is this guy so happy?" And it was because they're trying to get vested in Sears stock and the whole bit. Exactly. They had their, they targeted I'm going to be the youngest store manager ever, and all I'm thinking about is one of these days I'm going to quit, and in the meantime, I'm making a little bit of money, so I was happy, but. Dennis Miller actually saw Kip Addotta, a comedian, on The Tonight Show. And Kip Addotta said that he would be performing at the Cleveland Comedy Club coming up. And so Dennis said to me, so why don't you find out what the Cleveland Comedy Club's all about? So I looked it up, I found it, I called, and I said to whoever I talked to, I said, look, we're a couple of comics from Pittsburgh. Is there any chance we could come over and perform? And the guy goes, yeah, come on over, and come on over on Friday night. The show's at 8. Oh my God! Show up, and we'll give you each a little bit of time. So Dennis and I drove to Cleveland, which is almost 3-hour drive, and we get there, and there was, I guess, 4 owners of the club, and the one guy I talked to had no authority, I guess. And so the main guy, Dino, says, no, you guys can't go on. And we're totally defeated. We go downstairs in the men's room, and we're just like, oh, what are we gonna do now? And there's this lanky, tall guy with glasses standing there, and he goes, hey, what's up with you guys? And you go, oh, we're a couple of comics from Pittsburgh, and this guy told us that we'd come over and do a set, and now I guess it was the wrong guy, and we can't go up. Well, it turns out it was Bob Saget. I knew you were gonna say that. And that's crazy. And Bob Saget went up and said, you're putting these guys on. And it's his impressions. You sounded exactly like Bob Saget even when you just did that. You hung on the on. So he put us on, and I went up first, and I did 5 or 6 minutes, and I killed a full house in the Cleveland Comedy Club. I walk off stage. The owner grabs my hand. He goes, "That was awesome. That was awesome. Can you guys stay? Can you guys stay for the weekend? We'll put you up in a hotel." And then Dennis went up, and he killed. And so Dennis said, "I can't stay." So okay, I would have loved to have stayed, but we drove home. And then a few weeks later, they booked me to come be the MC at that club. And this was all just as these guys were putting together a plan to open up a club in Pittsburgh, which they opened in September of 1981, and they hired me to be the house MC. So I quit my job at Sears, and I became the house MC. I got paid $150 a week, and they gave me another $100 a week to entertain the headliner. So I could take the headliner out and show in Pittsburgh or go to a ball game or whatever. So I did that, and then that was at the time when comedy clubs started opening up everywhere, and it was amazing. Every city in the country. Boom. Yeah, it was. That was it. And so, and by the way, when the night that the Pittsburgh Comedy Club opened, it was sold out before we opened the doors, and people were fencing tickets out in front. It was Holy just shit. It was crazy. That's crazy. It was crazy. There were I think there were 200 seats in the room, and we did Wednesday, Thursday, 2 shows Friday, 3 shows Saturday, and 1 show Sunday, and they all sold out for the first 6 months of the club, and maybe for the first year. And they all started on coke, and they managed to go
Don't know what
bankrupt
to do with the
and
success,
lost this
right?
club within
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
And that was happening a lot. People were getting into this comedy with magic, and a lot of these guys would just as soon have been having mud wrestling or whatever, and all they knew is they could get a lot of women and put lines of coke on the
Wow.
desk and
Party on, Wayne.
party
Wow.
on, and so that was what was going on. But what was happening was we for that interim of time, I would say from 81 to about 84, comedians were rock stars. I mean, places were sold out when you would go in. You know, it was amazing. It was just crazy, and I was there for that with full momentum. You know, just starting out, which is it isn't that way anymore to young people starting out.
Good timing.
You know, and the timing, you say that it was good, but it was even better if you started 5 years ahead of me, because
Wow.
those people that got to LA in the 70s, when there was just a handful of people at the Comedy Store,
Right.
they were networking and you know,
They dominated.
yes, exactly. You know, all of those people that remained friends with Letterman and
Right.
and all of
That's
those guys.
the I'm dying up here era
Yes,
from the show. Right.
exactly. Yeah. So, so it was a great era to start, but it was, you know, it was
So
also.
what do you think? I hate to interrupt you. What do you think caused that boom in the '80s? Because for me, that's when I started watching comedy. But it's because I was alive at that point. I was really way too young to be watching, you know, the A&E at the Improv or the Comic Strip Live or you know all the different ones that were on. Because there was some on network. Fox had just gotten a new, Fox became a channel and they put on a thing. And
Yeah, your memory's
it was
crazy.
It was all over. There was HBO had a
yeah.
one.
Well,
There were-
HBO started having a young comedian special I think in the 70s.
Oh,
so that was the
wow.
first we would see this place, the Comedy Store. I remember Robin Williams did one, and I'm pretty sure it was in the 70s. If not, it was.
So it did exist just pre me. Okay.
Yeah, it did exist, and then there was a show called Make Me Laugh. That was it was a game show,
Laugh. I
and
remember
the comedians
Make Me
would come on, and usually Gallagher would go on all the time. I remember seeing Gallagher on there, and the idea was the contestant would try to sit there for 60 seconds without laughing, and Gallagher would take a banana and peel it, and it was a hot dog and bite it. You want a wiener, and you know.
But like a psych out, like a staring contest type of thing. That
Yeah.
just don't break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so those are first little things we've seen comedians get on TV, and then we'd see the people from Make Me Laugh headlining the Cleveland Comedy Club. A lot of them were, and so
And you're taking them around for $100 a week.
exactly
Right.
exactly.
All right. Now I got it.
And by the way, that was before videotape. You could get another gig just on somebody's recommending you.
Right.
You know, a headliner
Oh,
took a
wow.
liking to you. He'd call someone in Columbus, Ohio, and say, "Hey, you got to give this guy a shot," and you'd get a chance to go in and work that club. And then you could, you know, I essentially, you know, very quickly moved up the ladder from the opener to the middle act to the headliner, because the headliner made all the money in those days. It was such a disparity. The opener made $150, the middle $250 to $300, and the headliner $1,500 and up.
Right.
So you really wanted to get to that headline spot, and so once you did, there was that booming time where the headliner got all the money, they got flown in, they got a hotel, and then, you know, eventually that all crashed. But for that lightning in a bottle period, it was so different. It was so new from anything anyone had ever seen. You know, people had gone to the movies, they'd gone to music shows, they'd gone to concerts, but no one had gone to see this phenomenon of three comedians going on stage, making you laugh, you know, sometimes using profanity, sometimes not, never knowing what was going to happen, sometimes spontaneous crowd work happening. All of this was just so brand new and exciting, and it just went like wildfire all across the country, and almost every substantial sized city found a comedy club or a comedy night. It just exploded, and so there was so much happening everywhere, and then, you know, depending on everybody's level of dedication or how narrowly focused they were on what they wanted, I watched people make it huge. And usually the people that I saw really, really specifically make it in the business were the ones that were laser-like focused on one thing. You know?
Really?
Yeah, there was this silly comedian.
You mean like on achieving one thing, like getting
Yeah.
on Carson or whatever the heck it is?
Yes. There was this one comedian. I'm not going to say his name right off the bat, but
That's what I wanted to know.
He was a silly-ish comic, and he used to go on stage, little skinny, slight guy, and he would go on stage with this triple oversized sweater with the sleeves down below his hands. And he and I actually did a gig in Erie, Pennsylvania, and we both got stiff. Both checks bounced, and I didn't think much of him. I didn't think that he was especially super funny, just an odd little guy. And then I came out, when I moved out here, I saw him one time. And the next thing you know, I'm looking at the credits on Cheers.
Oh, my God.
And it's Dan O'Shannon, who became one of the biggest producers in the world, and then was the showrunner for Frasier.
Frasier, yeah.
And you know, so I don't even know the path he took, but he somehow got in as a staff writer on some show, and just went. But he must have been focused like a laser to get there, and how I guess he's a year or two younger than me, so he at a very, very early age, he was specifically targeted and knew what he wanted and got it, and I saw that about people where I kind of was all over the map. You know, I wrote scripts, I auditioned for acting jobs, I did stand-up, and for me, what would always happen is the money on the road was good. You could go make money on the road. But if you wanted the next level in L.A., you had to be in town. So I would stay in town as long as I could until I ran out of money, and then I'd go out and make money.
Gigs,
and then my commercial agent would drop me. I'd end up missing something by one day. I remember one time I was in an acting workshop, and one of the producers, I guess at Universal or one of the main studios, came in and watched our acting showcase and invited 3 of us to go audition for the Star Trek movie for Leonard Nimoy. And I was in Houston, Texas, and they said, "Can you come in?" And I go, "Well, it was a Thursday. I could have flown in Friday, canceled my gig, and got out of it." I said, "I'll fly home to do it." And he goes, "No, just come Monday." So I come Monday, and he still had me come in and audition because, you know, what happened was Mr. Nimoy wanted to get this done, so everything got done Friday, and the other 2 guys both got in the movie. And he goes, "We'll get you in for something else." And so I ended up not getting in the Star Trek movie with Leonard Nimoy. And it was the best part, too. It was the guy that gets into a fight with Chekhov. But anyway,
wow,
that was that was one of my near misses. I've had a few.
Well, career-wise, I can see why you would want that. Are you a Trekkie in any way that you would have any emotional loss from this?
No,
okay,
not really. But little things like that. I'll give you another one of my near miss stories.
I like to think of those, by the way, that they're not near. That's such a crazy thing that, like, who knows what it did open for you?
Yeah,
that you did. You know.
Oh yeah, and it's always good because, and I've always said to my friends whenever they get something, you know, it just shows that you can get something. Right. You know. Result of the work. Yeah. But one other time I was studying acting with Jerry Paris. And Jerry Paris was he played the neighbor next door on the Dick Van Dyke Show, and then he became a famous director. He directed Happy Days, and he directed all the Police Academy movies. Oh, no shit. Oh. And Jerry Paris had an acting class, and I got in his acting class, and he really liked me. And at the same time, I was trying to get on game shows because I was really good at game shows, and you could win some money. And I was just, you know, new at the. That would have been my dream back in those days, to get on that circuit, be on the pyramid with all those things. In those days, you could only do 1 a year and 3 in your lifetime game shows. Oh no shit! And so I'm kind of auditioning for all the game shows, and this new game show came out called Catchphrase, and I just was so good at it. I was the best they ever had to come in and audition for it, and they said to me, they go. We'd like you to be on the pilot for this show. We promise you're going to win money. You're going to win. You're going to win big. They're going to be unbelievable gifts. That's great. When they're going to be promise you're going to win money. Unbelievable gifts, and you're going to you know it's going to be sensational. I said, oh, awesome. Great. So right at the time, Jerry Paris has invited Gary Marshall. Oh, geez. To come in to our acting class. Happy Days, of course. Yeah. And Jerry Paris asks me if I would do my scene in front of Gary Marshall. it falls the same day I'm supposed to do the pilot for Catchphrase. So I call the Catchphrase people up and I say to them, you know, thank you for inviting me to do the show, but I'm an actor and a comedian, and I have this opportunity,
it's an opportunity
to audition for Gary Marshall. So I'm hoping I could do it another time. The girl's totally upset. Oh, my God. We've made nameplates. We've got your name up. Everything. Oh, this is not good. This is. And I said, well, you know, I am
topping production over here. Put it on the production report.
I'm so sorry, but, you know, I have to go with what I came here for. So.
Was this a producer you were talking to? I could just say, it's already an insurance day. They've written the whole thing off. You know what I mean?
So anyway, I give up being on the Catchphrase, and I go to, so now I had gone on auditions for a few different game shows. So the next thing, Joker's Wild calls me and says,
another good one.
We'd like to have you come as a contestant on Joker's Wild. And I thought, okay, good. So I scheduled that. So I go on Joker's Wild, and I get beat by the roller. You know, I didn't miss any questions. I just got beat, and
that's
rice-a-roni, done. Nothing.
That's the bankrupt. I mean, you can't avoid that. It just is how it is.
Yeah. So I win nothing, and that's my one for the year.
My
one
crap!
game show
It's not 3 wins; it's 3 appearances.
Three in a lifetime, 1 a year. So
is that per network? Hopefully,
everywhere.
Gosh,
in the world.
Gosh.
And so
game show commission.
So now I go to do the scene. I go to do the scene for Gary Marshall, and my scene partner, this girl, who had actually done one day of work on Happy Days. She was ahead of the curve. You know, she'd already had a little mini guest star on Happy Days. We're doing the scene for Gary Marshall, and she totally freezes and can't deliver her lines at all. I mean, we can't even get through the scene, and it's like an utter disaster. And so now I have given up Catchphrase. My scene partner lets me down. Rice-a-roni. And the next day, Catchphrase calls me back and said, hey, can we reschedule you for Catchphrase? Oh, sorry. I just did Joker's Wild.
Oh. We have to wait 3 months or whatever it was.
A
6
year.
months. A year. Oh, my God. All right,
Yeah.
so maybe that's one of those times they didn't all fall exactly where you wanted them to.
No, it's absolutely true.
Because it is like a day in each direction. It would have been reshuffle would have been fine.
Yep.
Wow. All right. Well,
and then, you know, I stayed in touch with Jerry Paris, and this is crazy. Jerry Paris and I were going to have lunch, and he calls me and goes, Randy, you know, I gotta go to the doctor. And I said, oh, okay, no problem. And later that day, I'm driving my car, and I hear on the radio, Jerry Paris went into the doctor, had a brain tumor. They immediately operated, and he died that day.
good grief, man. So you're one of the last people to talk to him.
Yeah, I really was. It was just strange how things...
He's like, and that's how I broke into television.
just the most bizarre things have happened, you know, but it is such a... And that's the exciting thing about show. Those are just a couple of silly things that happened to me early in my career.
Along the way, though, yeah.
But the amazing and interesting thing about a career in show business, as you know, is that it's ever-changing. There's something different is going to happen every day. Every the next thing.
It's the only constant,
it's
right?
totally unpredictable. You don't know how it's going to happen, where it's going to happen. You have to reinvent yourself. You have to figure out another way to make a living. You have to adapt and roll with it. And it's just one roller coaster ride of those kind of things, swerving and changing.
Stop planning for it to settle down. It's not gonna.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Chris Rock. What's Chris Rock's thing? With the,
Comfort's poison.
Yeah. Comfort is the poison. You know, don't get out of comfort. Stop striving for comfort. Just live in discomfort and get used to it. And
The
then
minute
you'll
you're
be fine.
comfortable, something's wrong.
Right.
Like,
You're not trying hard enough.
Yeah, you're just not present. You're checked out. Like there's something's up. So.
Yeah, it's absolutely
It's crazy.
true. Yeah.
All right. Well, I just transitioning just here a little bit. At some point, you started opening your own comedy clubs. Is that true?
Yeah.
Or did you take over comedy
No,
clubs? How did this
no.
work?
The first one we opened, it was funny because I had this friend that had a little comedy club in Florida, and I was a little envious. You know, he had this little weekend room in Florida, and I used to work for him all the time. And I just
The
thought to myself,
creativity in you, like the someone who would love to do that, right?
Yeah. And so I got to thinking, you know, that would be a nice way to have something, you know, to come home to. And so my wife, who's a wonderful actress, was doing some market research up in Santa Clarita. And she was interviewing people who had looked at this housing development to see if they wanted to buy. I think they were condos. And the thing that people said in this little temp job she had kept saying is there is no entertainment up here. So we said, well, let's go up there and look around. And I walked into a Hamburger Hamlet. They had a Hamburger
I know
Hamlet
the one,
there.
yeah.
And it's since gone.
Oh, you're kidding.
Oh, it's gone. But they had a little side room, and the manager said, you know, maybe. And then we looked at a couple of things down, and there was a Marie Callender's there. And I walked into the Marie Callender's, and I turned left, and there was this beautiful little cocktail lounge, totally independent room, empty on a Friday night at like 9 o'clock, not a soul in it. And I said to the manager, I introduced myself, I said, you know, what would you think about trying to do some comedy shows here? And on a handshake, we opened up and ran comedy shows there for 19 years. And
cow,
in a
that's
Marie Callender with 100 seats. And we had everyone from Dana Carvey to Larry Miller to Sean Wayans to Carol Leifer, Elaine Boozler. Unbelievable. Everybody did this room. And it reminded us all of those little rooms we started in back in New York or back wherever it was. And everybody just loved that room. Well, 2 years ago, they sold the property and tore the Marie Callender's down and put up a McDonald's. And so I moved it, but now we are back into another little cool space that's only 50 seats. And it's, you know, it sells out every Saturday, and it's still going. And so I've had that for 21 years in Valencia, California. Just a little cool little room that it was a weekend room.
Where is it now? Can we say?
It's inside Mimi's Cafe.
Oh, okay.
On Magic Mountain Parkway.
Yeah, sure.
And they have a little private room, and we do the stand-up in there, and 50 seats, and you know, it packs the room.
As long as it's fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As long as it's
sounds
fun.
like a good room. It's a good spot for a room that size.
Yeah.
How fun.
It is. It is a fun room. And so then from that there was a room that I had performed in back in like '85. It was in Ventura. It was called Hornblowers. And it was in the back corner of an existing restaurant, and had this all windows in it, but the windows were all painted black. And I did it several times and never paid any attention to where it was. I'd go in at night, go into the restaurant, upstairs, do the show, leave. And some time goes by.
Oh, I see. Tunnel vision. You're not paying attention to the surroundings.
No,
gotcha.
Not paying attention at all. And so this guy comes into the club, and he goes, "Look, I'm opening up. I'm taking over this comedy room. I've turned it in, and I want to get your advice." So he comes and watches the show at Marie Callender's, and I tell him what to do. So he opens up. He turns what was that room that I knew into a real comedy club. And this is the backstory of it. I didn't know any of this, but the restaurant lost their lease. The guy that was running the comedy show tried to open an exclusive comedy club and didn't get permits. He got red tagged and took a lot of people's money away. His former friend went in with money, turned it into a comedy club, but had no idea how to run it. Started asking me how to do it, and I started telling him.
This is at the original location.
At the original location in
to.
Ventura.
Okay, gotcha.
And so I said, "Look, here's what you do." He didn't listen to me. I said, "Look, you're booking the wrong acts. I'll book it for you for free. I'll book it for you for free. Help you get it." Wouldn't listen to me. Kept saying, "Do you want to buy it?" And I said, "Here's what you do. Here's what you do." And then finally, he kept saying, "Do you want to buy it?" And then I just said, "You know, I'll make you an offer, but if it's not making money, you know, but this is what a business is worth." So begrudgingly, he sold it to me and another comic 11 years ago. And we turned it around and turned it into a full-time comedy club, the Ventura Harbor Comedy Club, and we've had that now for 11 years.
Oh,
and since then,
okay.
we added another lounge into it. We put in a kitchen, and we've been there for 11 years. And this one we own the liquor license and
Great.
everything. So
Very cool.
that one is a full-time club going. And then the little one in Valencia still hangs on, you know. So
That's awesome.
So I have two.
That's very,
That's
very cool.
very
Yeah.
cool.
How big is how many seats did you say is the one?
We
in
have
Ventura?
210 in
that's
Ventura.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's a nice size room.
Yeah.
What's the you know, I mean, I'm big into space and everything. Was it a bar? Is there a stage? Is it a dance floor? Like, what type of room is it? I'm picturing cocktail tables type of thing, but I don't know.
Yeah, this is the interesting thing, is it sits in Ventura Harbor. And those windows that were all painted black are now clear windows with this gorgeous view of this harbor with boats and sailboats and everything out that I had no idea was there. Whenever the guy asked me
Scrape
to
the
buy
paint.
it, I drove over there to look at it, and I see that this is a resort area. This is a beautiful resort like Marina del Rey. And I'm like, oh my God. And then, you know, you go inside it, and it's it's long, narrow cocktail tables with a big stage.
That's what I was getting at. So it's more shotgun style,
Yeah.
long and narrow.
Well, no, it's wide. You know,
Oh, I
they were doing it
see.
long and narrow. We moved it. We moved the stage
Okay.
to the side, so we're wide and
Gotcha.
not as far back. But it's a beautiful room, and there's no obstructed view. It's everyone in the
check
room
that
can
out.
see the show. So it's a really cool place, and it's in a gorgeous resort-like setting. So we've been there, for 11 years.
Forgive me for not knowing. We don't get up that way that often, and I didn't realize now that's something to do. That's something
Yeah.
to go up there for.
Yeah.
For us.
Destination.
That's kind of nice.
And people don't realize Ventura is it's got a lot of cool things. It's got world-class surfing. It's got
Yeah.
great golf. It's got the beach.
There's
It's
museums
got
even if you like the military stuff and everything,
yeah, and it's got they even have a casino up there. So
Do they really now?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So I mean,
And it's also really close. That's the other thing. You think Ventura is so far, Ventura. It's like it's an hour away. It's not
it
even.
is
not
exactly. Yeah.
even. What do you got, Miss Comedy?
I'm fascinated to check out that room. I knew that part of your history, but I didn't know how hands-on you were. It sounds like you really created the environments there.
Yeah, you didn't just buy comedy clubs and
Yeah.
right.
We
Put
we
your
did
name
that
on it.
the idea with both. I really wanted to recreate that era of 81 to 84. And that's what we have. We have the audience there that comes to our shows came to see comedy.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
They're not coming because somebody dragged them there against their will. They're not coming there for any other reason. They're coming there because they love. And you know what's funny is that when I started, there is a demographic of people that is being ignored. The people that got turned on to comedy clubs in the 80s are now in their 60s and 70s. They still love that experience. And nobody, you being a publicist, nobody's after those people.
Yeah.
Nobody, they're off every marketer's radar, but
Totally.
they are money people.
I was just gonna say.
And they love stand-up comedy. They got hooked on it just when I did, when I was starting.
They like
And
to
they're willing
laugh, too, just because they're not 20.
Yeah,
They're willing to pay for the experience.
Yeah.
that's right. And they can teach 20-year-olds how you're supposed to enjoy a comedy show. Where if it's all 20-year-olds, they have no idea what to do.
You're exactly right. But when you watch the elders, here's where you be quiet. Here's where you put your cell phones
Here's
down.
where you applaud. Here's where here's where it's okay to laugh out loud. That nobody's offended.
Here's where you don't call out what you think the punchline's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody gets excited. We all do it.
So we've kind of brought that magic back.
Awesome.
I
you
can't
know?
wait to check it out. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And now I for the last 9 years I've produced the Ventura Comedy Festival.
That's the next thing on here. Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's go right into it by all means.
Well, I decided, let's try to make something big for the city, and so I started the Ventura Comedy Festival, and it's evolved to, well, I should tell you this story. 2 years ago, another comedy club opened 10 minutes from us, and it's one with a lot of money, a lot of
Bigger name.
a lot of other comedy clubs that they own, and they have done things in the market that have made our lives harder. They paper the house when they have celebrity comedians because they opened up a huge room in a city not big enough for them. So because of that, they in order to fill 400
push.
plus seats, they've got to give everything away. and they hope that they can get them in there for food. And so now everyone in the marketplace thinks they can get a free ticket. And they also have said to some of the comedians that I have brought in and developed into big draws in the market, if you want to work all 30 of our clubs, you got to work this one. And the unspoken thing is, we'd rather you didn't work for the other guys. And nobody puts that in writing, and nobody actually...
It's just like the old talk show booking wars. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah, nobody puts it in writing, but the bottom line is...
You can't do Arsenio if you're doing Carson.
Almost none of them have ever come back, even when I reach out. Ones that stood on our stage and said, "This is my home club. I'll always be here." and
they ghost you? They've ghosted?
A little bit.
The kids they ghost, right?
Yeah. And the truth of it is I'm an entrepreneur and a capitalist, so I can't complain. It's a free market system. Sure. I hope I can beat them. I hope I can dig my heels in and outlast them.
To me, I see different. If you guys can, to me, it's a different experience. If somehow people can carve out that this is this experience and this is this experience, then you can both share the audience. In fact, multiply the audience. I don't know that this is possible. I'm saying in a perfect world. You know what I mean?
you would hope, but
because your experience does sound to be different.
You would hope that was the case, and I think that's part of why we've been able to stay open, because it's been a challenge. But we're also, developing. Like I, mentioned, you've got to adapt. Like we're bringing in Australia's Thunder from Down Under. We're doing a drag show now. We're doing other stuff that's bringing people in, and those things are working. So
that widens the audience, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so that multiplies the audience, because you do a drag show, all of a sudden you get 100 people that have never been to the comedy club.
Right. And we know this is a gay-friendly place, probably.
Absolutely.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
every little bit. Sure.
So so we're fighting the good fight.
That's cool.
But so I when I first started the comedy festival, I was able to get the celebrity comedians, and I rented the theater, and I got I got Louis Anderson and Gallagher and Adam Carolla, Jay Moore. I got people like that. Well, I can't get those people anymore because of this other venue. So now my comedy festival is a showcase of just great comedians every night, all different theme shows, and a comedy competition. And so through the competition, I've met hundreds of new, exciting, interesting comedians, and I've got to watch them develop. And it was funny. I discovered a young, talented comic about 6 years ago, and I never thought that I would ever manage a comedian, but she's so interesting that I've been managing her career, and we're banging on doors, trying to get her started.
How's it going?
Well, she just did a pilot with Wanda Sykes. Her name is Olivia Harewood, and she's on the Herald team at UCB, and she wrote on a pilot for John Henson.
Talk Soup John Henson?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And she's brilliant. She's a Stanford graduate. She's beautiful, and I'm banging on doors trying to help her career as well.
That must be very cool for you.
It is.
You know what I'm saying at this stage? Yeah, because you get to be creative for somebody else. It's kind of neat.
Awesomeness. Like you have a good eye, I bet. From booking all the comedy
I've had a
stuff
lot of
over the
comedians
years.
ask me to manage them in the past, and it's just not something I was ever thought that I wanted to do. But with Olivia, there was something different there, and I still see it, and I know it's going to happen for her.
Timing too. Maybe you're ready also.
Yeah. And in the meantime, I'm still pursuing my own adventures, and still think that I'm gonna sell a script and get something going, and I do stand up almost every day. So I'm.
Did we wrap up the Comedy Fest? I feel like I missed something there.
Well, it's evolved into a competition now, and we have a $4,000 cash.
But when's it going to be?
It is the second to last week of August, which I believe is the week before Labor Day weekend. So it's the second to last week of August. And we do shows all week long, and the competition is the main thing. The semifinals take place, and then the finals. But then we have theme shows, like we do, all-female show. We do an all-black show. We do all Latino show. We do the Dirty Dozen. We do clean comedy. We do all different
anything to mix it up to get the potpourri of an audience.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
That's pretty cool.
We've already gone over the hour, but I would love to touch on something that's a little bit more serious, just because you said I could ask about it. You had a heart attack at some point, and that was probably a hell of an experience. Do you want to tell us about that at all?
Yeah. I found out that we have in our body what's known as the widow-maker artery.
Mm-hmm.
And
The one that if that one goes...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I woke up on a Sunday, drove home from Ventura Saturday night at 1 in the morning, got up about 8 o'clock Sunday morning and felt a little heartburn. Took a couple Tums, laid down, and it hit me right here, the most unbelievable, excruciating pain a human being could imagine.
Is this the elephant on the chest everyone talks
Well,
about?
you've heard that expression.
Yeah.
This was worse. Picture Chris Christie
Oh, my goodness.
riding an elephant
Ah!
that stepped on your chest. And I remember so luckily for me I was home. My wife gave me an aspirin. She called paramedics. We live 4 blocks from St. John's Hospital
wow.
in Santa Monica.
Oh, yeah, I know.
The paramedics came in 5 minutes. In that 5 minutes, I was in such agony, I couldn't keep still. I couldn't sit. I couldn't stand. I was just thrashing my body all over the room. They came in to give me morphine. Didn't help at all. They put me in the emergency room, and I'm laying there thinking to myself, this is the most excruciating pain a human being could endure. And right at that point, they put in a catheter.
Oh!
Luckily, they had an extra long.
Hey! You know, Steve Allen. Ding, 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 ding.
But so that doctor, Dr. Pelican, saved my life, and my wife saved my life. So after that, you have another perspective. I felt as if I was given a second life.
Yeah.
Because I easily could have died. And I often think, what would have happened if it had happened driving home from Ventura on the 101 freeway in the middle of the night? Even if I managed to pull off and get to my phone to call 911, could someone have got me to a hospital? And who knows?
If you've ever come that close, playing the what if game for about 5 minutes gives you a different appreciation of being alive.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. Yeah, I love talking to people about it. Just it's rare for one thing, and I feel like there's a different level of conversation possible when you share any type of when you share that outlook anyway.
And I realized my wife, who was an angel, saved my life. And then I thought back, I said, this is the second time my wife saved my life, because about 4 years ago, my wife gave me the Heimlich maneuver. And I had no idea.
What were you eating?
Honest to God, I had no idea she knew how to do that. And I was eating a tuna sandwich. I was eating a tuna fish sandwich,
oh
right?
My goodness.
And I started joking. And there's a gesture you're supposed to. I had no idea what the gesture. Yeah, that's it.
For everybody
I didn't
at home,
know that.
this is the universal. I'm choking.
I went like this. And she got the message, and
She's a psychic.
Yeah, she got behind me, and I know for a split second she said to herself, "I could own a comedy club." But she gave me the Heimlich.
Do it anyway.
The tuna shot out of my mouth into the dog's bowl. The dog ate it so fast she started to choke, and.
Holy
we gave
shit.
her the Heimlich, and she's okay, and I'm okay.
Everyone's
so,
fine.
So everybody's
Wow.
good. Yeah, that's true. A true story. Yeah.
That's pretty good. A tuna fish sandwich of all things. I guess was it white bread? You can wad up, I guess.
It wadded up, and I just yeah. But Diana, I had no idea she knew how to do it. I mean, and I'm 6'3", and my wife is 5'5". She got behind me, and boom, and it worked. It was
I've only ever seen it once in my life, but it's exactly like the movies. It's exactly like the movies. The thing goes honking out and the whole bit.
It was just like that. It was just like that. But
Wow.
So I do that. I do that joke.
Well,
and
perhaps she did some damage to your heart, and then later.
Oh my God!
Wow, that is so cool.
Oh, good work, lady.
I could go on and on and on with you. I hope that I get a chance. Would you come back sometime?
Oh,
Because I
I'd
feel
love
like
to.
there's a million more things to talk about, and I'd
Yeah.
love to just pick your brain about all the stuff.
Yeah. Next time we'll talk about how open mic has changed from where it was to what it is now, because it's.
I'd love to have a wider discussion of maybe then and now, because it's something we both think about and talk about frequently as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a delight. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
Oh, my
It's
pleasure.
been really fun.
Yeah.
Mrs. Ryan,
Yes.
Let's wrap it up here. Oh, wait,
Okay.
no, hang on. Randy, how do people find you? And
Oh,
I'm going to
yeah.
take an Instagram story as well. Do we have like social media or anything
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah. I'm at Randy Lubas at AOL.com.
Contemporary.
RandyLubas.com as my website, RandyLubas.com. And on Facebook, Randy Lubas.
There you go.
There you
Nice.
That's how to find you, man.
And the comedy clubs, VenturaHarborComedyClub.com and ComedyInValencia.com and VenturaComedyFestival.com.
That's in
Nice.
August, yeah?
The end of
In
August.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Cool.
love it.
Can't wait. But
All right, Randy Lubas, you're a delight. I can't wait to have you in again and talk to you more. Mrs. Ryan, who do we have to? Oh, tomorrow is Mike Brewer from Wheeler Dealers
Yeah.
on the motor. In fact, Wheeler Dealers is back tomorrow, back for another season.
Crazy
And
that
Mike
we
is here
get
to,
him tomorrow.
I
I'm
know,
so
that's
excited.
pretty cool that we get to talk to him on the day of.
Yeah, can't wait. But
So that'll be fun. Thursday, we've got Leanne Elias. Help me with the last name here. Is it? I don't want to say it wrong.
Deutsch.
Okay, that
I
helps
think.
me. And Friday, we've got Breakfast Club. So
Yeah.
I love you very much, Mrs.
Love you
Ryan.
too.
We love you very much,
Thank you,
Randy.
Randy.
Thank you. I
Lubas.
love you both, too.
We
Wish you
love-
nothing but the best.
Thank you so much. We love everybody at home. Please love one another, and we'll see you tomorrow.